They were thinking about doing it. I thought that it would be a good idea. I was an Air Force pilot. They need to go big or go home. You know, when I was flying, I was a tanker pilot. My original goal was to be an astronaut. Flying drones and covering Giga Texas, I'm much more at home at SpaceX.
We're down here at Giga Texas. I'm with Joe Tegtmeyer, and this is the world headquarters for Tesla. All of their manufacturing, everything kind of sources out here. Elon's office is here, and Joe, what he does is he's the drone specialist. So always uploading it. I guess how many times a week? Let's start there. How often are you filming, and how long have you been filming here?
A couple of years ago, I moved to Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So before that, I was every other day, which kind of, after about 2 years, kind of was too much to do. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, usually in the morning. I live in San Antonio, so I use the early morning to beat the traffic.
Okay.
That's why I get a lot of sunrise shots and early morning shots.
Very cool. And we're under construction here. And I came down here in 2022 for the Cyber Rodeo that they had, which was sort of the grand opening. And everybody thought that that was the finished product, but you and I had a conversation off camera that that is simply not the case. What are we looking at with this box here?
Well, at that time, I'd say maybe 20% of the factory had stuff in it to build things. And at that time, the big focus was the Model Y and trying to get that ramped up. And, you know, when I was at Chattanooga, Tennessee, for the Chattanooga Charge event, I was talking a little bit about that early days. And what they were doing is they were doing something called minimum essential capability, if you will. They were putting the minimum parts of the factory together at that time just to be able to build the Model Ys.
Okay.
So really the only thing that was partially operational was the stamping machine section, the body in white where they weld them together, the casting where they make the castings, the paint shop, a little bit of plastics, and general assembly to put them together.
Right.
That was it. Everything else was empty at that time.
Incredible. And then they had that kind of grand opening, or entrance, I should say, open at the grand opening. When I remember we walked inside, it was very, very open. Now, how have they changed the front end? I see it's kind of changed with these lighting and different things they've got going on.
Yeah, well, the whole front entrance has been one of those things that my viewers have watched and commented on a lot because it's been redesigned and rebuilt 3 different times.
Really?
So they had the first original part of it, and that was used before the Cyber Rodeo. For the Cyber Rodeo, they reconfigured it. They put some stairs out in front. They did a little bit of the interior inside, but it was pretty much all open. And at that time, they had a second floor, a permanent floor over that entrance.
Right.
After the Cyber Rodeo, they ripped out all of the stairs, the doors, the glass.
Yeah.
They took that entire floor out. They made it into an atrium. They have like a mezzanine now with the staircases that go up. And at the back end where at Cyber Rodeo they had castings as kind of like a barrier.
Yes.
And it was all open.
Yes.
Well, now it's a permanent wall. And right behind that is part of the Cybertruck manufacturing part of the factory.
Wow.
So it's totally different. They put in the whole kind of the plaid main entrance with the beams, the stainless steel beams and columns and the lighting and the trapezoidal stone glass. It's kind of shiny material, which by the way is turning out to be kind of a nightmare for them because it gets dirty all the time. And whenever it rains, it looks streaky, and that's because of all the construction.
Well,
so they have to clean it all the time.
Absolutely.
But it's kind of like the main central point for Giga Texas now. So that thing has changed a lot.
Yeah, and they've added these flags, big, beautiful flags.
Yeah.
I mean, I drive by on the freeway quite a ways away. You can see them from a mile or two away. And tell us about the secret thing that Tesla did for you with those flagpoles.
Well, first of all, before they even put them up there, I had been talking to some people in the uppers, I guess, here at Giga Texas about flagpoles, and they were thinking about doing it. I thought that it would be a good idea. I told them if they're going to put flagpoles, they need to go big or go home. And you know, if you're in Texas here, if you go by car dealers or something, you see these gigantic flags. So I told them that needs to be your standard. So ultimately, they ended up putting the flagpoles in where you see them right across the street from the main entrance, and the kind of a very humbling, very honor for me thing was after the flags were up, and I actually filmed the whole installation of the flagpoles and all that. It's on my video. But after that was done, I got a call and was asked to go look at the flagpoles particularly. And I asked them why, and they said, it's Giga Texas, it's construction all the time. But I asked them why. They said, just go look at it. I said, well, what am I looking at, the base or the top, whatever? They said, just look at the top. So I went up there and I thought I saw something on one of the kind of the bollards on the top.
Like those gold balls
yes,
at the top?
Exactly. On the Tesla flag. And as I got closer, I could tell that it was the hedgehog. And I thought, well, that's pretty cool. I didn't realize until I landed the drone and came out and looked at my screen, and I saw that it said "Hi Joe" on there.
Wow!
And it's laser and etched on there
so
too.
It's permanent.
Yeah, it is.
That is so cool.
So,
well,
pretty neat.
I mean, it's very obvious the huge support that Tesla has for you, and obviously it's very reciprocal. And we've been talking again off camera just with all the different companies, Boring Company and Tesla, and they really appreciate your efforts and kind of working together with a lot of these projects.
Yeah.
How's it been as far as like filming? Like, did you have to learn any new techniques for filming the site here and kind of where things are and that sort of thing, getting familiar with it?
Yeah, quite a bit. I mean, the site has changed dramatically. I mean, when it was first being built, this is about where I would launch and fly the drone, and I could fly it the entire site because it was flat. It was just dirt. So I was able to get a lot more of the content done with just a few batteries because there's not a whole lot to see.
Yeah.
But as they started building it up, the building itself became kind of a impediment. Okay. So now I have to, I'm physically in different locations during out my time flying on the video, the drone for the video. So what you don't see in the video because I stitch it all together, but I'm actually in different locations at different times. And every once in a while you can tell because the weather here can change a lot. So I'll be starting on the south and it will be like cloudy and not so much sun.
Right.
But then by the time I finish up, I come over here, reset back up, the clouds are gone. And it almost looks like 2 different days, but it's really the same day.
Well, and you start early in the morning as well.
I do.
You were telling us you were out here, like 4 or 5 in the morning this morning?
Well, this morning I left San Antonio at about 4:45, so I got here 6:15-ish, 6:30, okay. And then I did a night shot here for my video for today.
Yeah.
But it's a great opportunity to get it different lighting and see what it looks like in those conditions, get a really good sunrise. And I'm also able to see on the west side into the factory. And some people ask, isn't that bad that you can see inside the factory here? And I'm pointing out that if you stop on the frontage road of this highway and look, you can see right into the factory. So it's not like I'm showing you anything that you can't see.
Well, we see that at Starbase when we drive by.
Exactly.
And you can kind of see into the SpaceX facility and you see the cones of the next rockets that they're building.
Right,
so
same thing.
Similar idea, right?
People go, you can't show the rockets. Well, they're right there.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's the same thing here. And they know what I do. They watch my videos. They use my videos. I'm in contact with them daily. So it's, if there's something that they don't want me to do, I won't do it. And they could easily contact me. So
what would you say is probably some of the biggest challenges that you've had filming here and kind of overcoming things? Do you have to get special permits or fighting weather? Like, what are some of the challenges?
Well, early on, there was a group of us called the Quad Squad, and it was Jack, Randy, Jeff, and myself.
Okay. And
then shortly after that, Brad Sloan joined in as well. And during that time, the first month, there was a little question of could we fly or not, legal, whatever. We were able to reach out and Elon gave us the permission. And from that point on, it's just been really great. We have a great relationship with the security, also with the Travis County Sheriff's Department, all the contractors, Tesla themselves. And when I fly, because this area is under the international airspace, I get FAA approval to fly too. So I've got approval of Tesla, I've got approval for FAA for every single flight.
Wow.
So I do all that. As far as the weather, right now you can see it's really windy. There's a construction right behind us. There's a lot of dust. You don't think that the drone would see that, but it's always covered in dust. I have to keep cleaning the drone a lot because of that. And of course, there was one time there was, I call it the age of cranes, when there was, like a dozen or more cranes here building the Giga Texas. So you had to really be careful where the cranes were. And they're always moving and they move faster than you think. So that was one thing that you had to just, learn about. We have power lines. So I have, I kind of build an airspace plan. So I have minimum safe altitudes. I even mentioned that to you in the video we did.
200 feet, I
200
think,
feet for the
wires?
The wires, that's a little higher, but it's, for me, it's a safe altitude I know I have no problem with. So if I'm getting close to the wires, I go up to 200 feet. So there's that. The winds can be pretty crazy around here. It can get cold. If you get both cold and winds, and that really wreaks havoc with your batteries. So I've got strategies of, the the stronger the battery, the farther I'll go, and I'll go into the wind and work my way back. So
Okay.
I'm not trying to fight the wind with
Right.
a lower battery. I've kind of got some escape avenues. So if I have a problem, I know I get towards the frontage road and then work my way up so I can get off the site
Okay.
and get to a point where I can get the drone if I need to.
Retrieve it, yeah, yeah.
And it's just, you know, things like that. Battery swaps happen. So where do you stop the drone so that you can resume the flight so it doesn't look like you've really changed
Yeah.
anything? Stuff like that.
Well, you do a great job. I mean, it's absolutely fantastic. Do you have a background in flight, in drones, and that sort of thing?
Well, I was an Air Force pilot. I was everything from
Wow.
up to instructor and evaluator pilot. I even did something called FCF, which is functional check flight test flying. So I've got a lot of flying background. I
That's
used to be a
amazing.
glider instructor pilot when I was at the Air Force Academy. So I've flown a lot in my whole career.
Yeah.
And so drones is kind of a natural extension of that.
Amazing. And that kind of ties into your fascination with rockets as well, with SpaceX.
Yeah.
And-
Actually, it predates it. My original goal was to be an astronaut.
Okay.
And my whole background is in space, aeronautical, astronautical engineering. That's why I went to the academy. That's why I became a pilot. That's why I applied to become an astronaut and did all the stuff that
Wow.
I wanted to do. So that's really my background. Flying drones and covering Giga Texas is cool, and I've learned a lot as I've gone into it. But I'm much more at home at SpaceX and
Really?
or at Kennedy Space Center, which I'm going to be at in a couple weeks, talking about. You know, when I was flying, I was a tanker pilot, so we did a lot of air refueling and kind of force projection of our assets around the world. Well, we're going to need something similar in space with on-orbit refilling.
Exactly.
I'm going to be talking a little bit about that.
Yeah, very, very cool. That's so exciting. And I just want to say on behalf of the community, as a spectator and then getting to know you and becoming friends, we just really appreciate everything you're doing, both on the SpaceX side and, of course, here at Giga and on everything in between. So thank you very much. And thank you for your service.
I appreciate it.
Very much appreciated. And it's just wonderful to have somebody that has some experience and background like you know, doing what you do versus, you know, an amateur like me who just learned to fly in the last year. So
well,
thank you very much.
Thank you. And I also just want to say thank you to Tesla. I mean, it's a remarkable relationship that they've given me, and it's built up almost 5 years. And just not only the company, but the employees, they're just amazing. And, you know, that was an unintended consequence of me flying the drones. A lot of the employees say that they learned more about Giga Texas from me than they do about working here.
Yeah.
So anyway, I just want to say thank you to them and, of course, all the community and people that support me.
Amazing. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Guys, we'll see you in the next video.